The stars hung still over Corel 9, a dusty, cold planet forgotten by most of the galaxy. Its surface was cracked and scorched, with old mining rigs buried under layers of ash. Once it had been a human colony. Now it was empty, or so they thought. Above the planet, a fleet of dark ships broke through orbit. They were long and sharp, shaped like knives slicing through the void. These were Draveri warships, cold, efficient, and merciless. Inside the lead ship, Supreme Strategist Zarnak stood on the command deck. His tall frame was wrapped in black armor, and his eyes glowed a soft yellow, scanning the planet below. "This world is silent," he said, his voice cold and calm. "The humans left nothing behind." A younger officer stepped forward. Sensors picked up a weak signal. "Strategist. Possibly an old Earth transmission." Zarnak didn't look at him. A trap? A broken machine? He turned to the large screen at the front of the deck. It showed a view of Corel 9. Red skies, cracked mountains, and swirling ash storms. "I will not waste a fleet on ghosts," Zarnak said. "Send a scout team. Confirm there is nothing worth claiming. Then we burn it." The officer bowed. At once. As the scout ships descended, the Draveri soldiers joked over their comms. They were relaxed, confident. They believed this would be easy, maybe even boring. One soldier laughed. "We're just cleaning up after a dead species." Another replied, "I'll be done before lunch." Their ships landed on the surface. Boots touched cracked ground. Dust swirled. The soldiers scanned the horizon, empty, but something watched from beneath the ground. Far below, in a hidden bunker, deep under the surface, old machines hummed to life. A single line of text blinked on a control screen. "Draveri fleet detected. Activating Scout Protocol Alpha." Back in orbit, on the Draveri flagship, the lights flickered. "Power spike," a technician said. "Minor interference." Zarnak narrowed his eyes. "From where?" The technician hesitated. "The surface strategist." For the first time, Zarnak looked uneasy. He turned back to the screen, showing Corel 9. "Bring me a live feed from the scout team," he said. But the screen stayed dark, then static, and then nothing. "Contact lost," the officer said quietly. Zarnak clenched his jaw. "Send more troops," he said. "I want answers." Far below, something hidden was ready. Beneath the surface of Corel 9, buried under layers of rock and dust, a metal door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a command bunker, dark and narrow, lit only by flickering blue lights. The air was dry. The hum of machines filled the silence. Commander Jax Voss stood alone in front of a holographic map. He wore a gray combat suit, worn and patched. His face was calm, eyes sharp, short brown hair, a scar across his jaw, signs of someone who had seen too many battles and survived them all. He stared at the red dots blinking on the map. Enemy signals. The Draveri had landed. He didn't panic. He simply tapped a button. "Activate Drone Cluster 7. Route Echo. Full stealth." A soft beep replied. Then silence. Jax walked to the next screen and pulled up a camera feed. The outside showed nothing but swirling red dust. No human in sight. That was the plan. He tapped his earpiece. "Unit 01, report." A robotic voice answered. "Position locked. Targets approaching. Standing by." Jax nodded to himself. From this hidden bunker, he controlled dozens of autonomous units, drones, traps, decoys, and signal jammers, all silent, all hidden. He was a scout commander, not a general, not part of any army. But that didn't mean he wasn't dangerous. He leaned against the console and looked up at the cracked ceiling above. "So," he said quietly, "they found us." His voice was steady, but deep inside, he knew this was more than a simple skirmish. If the Draveri had sent a fleet, it meant they were searching, testing. If they found out what really lay hidden on Earth, it would be over. He turned toward a small monitor in the corner. It showed a grainy image. Earth, from orbit. Green, blue, and quiet, shielded, hidden from the galaxy. He clenched his fist. He would not let them find it. A soft voice broke through his thoughts. "Commander," said the AI, calm and female. "Dravari troop movement increasing. 30 units advancing. 10 vehicles. 2 airships." Jack smirked. "They're sending everything for one signal." The AI responded. "They believe you are an army." Jack stood up, stretched his arms, and cracked his neck. "Let's not disappoint them." He walked back to the center console, tapped another command. "Begin misdirection protocol. Jam comms. Route airships to decoy beacon." Let's see how smart their strategist really is. The lights dimmed as machines activated. Drones moved silently under the surface. Old Earth tech, simple, quiet, deadly. This wasn't the first time Jax had fought against a superior force. He didn't need numbers. He needed control, surprise, fear. The Dravari thought they had found a dead world. What they had found was a war they weren't ready for, and it was just beginning. Red dust blew across the cracked surface of Karel 9 as the Dravari troops moved in formation. Their boots hit the ground in sync. Black armor glinted under the pale sky. Overhead, 2 sleek airships hovered, scanning the ground with blue light. Captain Threx, leader of the advance unit, walked at the front. He raised a clawed hand, signaling the team to halt. "Nothing on scans," one soldier said. "Still just static." "Signal jammers," Threx muttered. "Old tech. Crude." He looked around. The landscape was empty. No buildings, no movement, just rock, ash, and wind. "Spread out. Sweep east to west," he ordered. "Find the source. The strategist wants answers." The soldiers split into squads, moving in tight lines, weapons ready. They didn't see the drones buried beneath the dust. High above, in the hidden command bunker, Jax Voss watched their movement through thermal sensors. The enemy squads were walking right into his trap. He tapped the console. "Activate perimeter mines," he said. "Zone 3. Set to delay." From below the surface, tiny machines powered up. They didn't explode. Not yet. They waited. "Drones in position," the AI reported. "Good," Jax replied. "Let's give them a warm welcome." Captain Threx's squad climbed a low ridge when the first strike hit. A sudden flash. A sharp, metallic crack. Then silence. One soldier dropped. No gunfire. No warning. Just a thin dart through his armor right to the neck. "Sniper," another shouted, looking around in panic. "No thermal spike," another said. Eyes on his visor. Something's boom. An explosion erupted behind them. Not a fireball, just a burst of shock and sound. It knocked them off their feet. Their comms went dead. Threx scrambled to cover. "Form up, return fire." But there was no one to shoot. The airships above turned sharply. One veered off course. "Pilot 2, report," came a call over comms. Only static answered. In the distance, a decoy beacon lit up, a flickering light mimicking a human signature. The second airship turned toward it. Seconds later, a drone latched onto its hull. It overloaded the ship's systems in an instant. The engines died. The airship spun and crashed into the dust. Back on the ridge, Threx tried to regain control. "Pull back," he yelled, but they were cut off. Jax watched the screen as red enemy dots blinked out one by one. "They're scattered now," the AI said. "Keep it that way," Jax replied. "Divide, confuse, destroy. Same as always." He leaned back slightly. His heart beat steady. He wasn't here to win a battle. He was here to send a message. Up in orbit, on the Dravari flagship, Supreme Strategist Sarnak stood motionless, watching a black screen. "Report," he said quietly. The officer swallowed hard. "Scout Team 1 lost contact. Airship destroyed. No response from ground squads." Sarnak's hands curled into fists. "This was not a random signal," he said. "This is a defense grid." He turned to another screen, showing satellite views of the surface. One figure moved alone among the ruins. One signal, one commander. Sarnak narrowed his eyes. "I want him found," he growled. Now on the ground, Jax watched a red storm build in the sky. He knew the real fight was just beginning. Night fell on Karel 9, though the sky stayed red. Storms of dust rolled across the ground, swallowing everything in silence. The stars above were hidden, so were the bodies. scattered across the battlefield. Broken Draveri units lay half buried in ash. Weapons offline. Visors cracked. No blood, just clean, precise strikes. The kind that came from machines. Machines with purpose. Inside the command bunker, deep below, Commander Jax Voss stood quietly. His eyes followed the enemy's movement on the screen. A few squads remained, lost, confused, alone. "They're starting to panic," said the AI beside him. Her voice was calm. "They should," Jax replied. "They're not fighting a war. They're walking through a trap." He typed a few commands. Across the battlefield, small drones shifted under the dust. Some carried EMP charges, others carried decoys. They moved in silence. Jax didn't need an army. He needed doubt, confusion, fear. Draveri Squad 6 moved through a narrow ravine. The walls rose steep on both sides. Their lights flickered in the storm. "This canyon is wrong," one soldier said. Captain Zelvek looked around. His scanner beeped. "I see movement. Left ridge." "Nothing here," shouted another. Then the rocks moved. What looked like stones suddenly lifted. Drones with flat armor, shaped like debris, opened fire with pulse darts. Silent hits, fast, deadly. Zelvek yelled, "Fall back," but the exit had already collapsed. A controlled explosion sealed it shut. A drone hovered above, flashing a single message in alien script: "Leave." Moments later, static filled their comms. Then, silence. In orbit, Supreme Strategist Zarnak stared at the battle logs. "Another squad gone," his second-in-command reported. "Minimal human presence detected. We believe they're using AI systems, old Earth designs, but modified." Zarnak's jaw tightened. "He's not just defending," Zarnak said. "He's hunting us." Back on the surface, Jax moved through a narrow tunnel deep underground. He carried a small control pad. Around him, machines whirred to life. Auto turrets, signal jammers, small repair bots. He approached a steel chamber and opened the door. Inside sat a worn command chair and an old Earth flag on the wall. He sat down and brought up a private file. A face appeared on the screen. An old commander, a mentor long dead. "Your playbook still works," Jax muttered with a half-smile. "Divide, distract, dismantle." The AI spoke again. "Final enemy squad has split into 3. No central coordination. Their command structure is weakening." "Perfect," Jax said. "Now we finish this." In the open plains of Karel 9, the last Draveri squads moved with caution. Every sound made them flinch. Every shadow looked like a drone. One soldier fired at a flickering light. It vanished. Another turned in panic. His visor went black. Then he vanished too. No gunfire, no explosions. Just quiet, just fear. High above, Zarnak gripped the edge of the command table. "How many of our own are left?" he asked. The answer came slow. 2 squads, out of 12. Zarnak stared down at the silent world below. "We are not facing an army," he said. "We are facing a ghost." And deep underground, Jax gave his final order for the night. "No more direct attacks," he said. "Let them hear the silence." The AI responded, confirmed. Outside, the wind howled across the ruins. No lights, no movement, only fear. The ghost war had begun. Inside the Draveri flagship, tension hung thick in the air. The command deck was silent. Every officer watching the main screen as red status lights flashed. Another squad had gone dark. Supreme Strategist Zarnak stood at the center, his tall figure unmoving. His claws gripped the edge of the console. "We have lost 9 squads," a technician said, voice shaking. 2 airships destroyed. No enemy army detected, no visual on human forces. Zarnak turned his head slowly. His yellow eyes locked onto the officer. "Repeat that," he said. The officer swallowed. We have not found any human army. All attacks appear to be automated. Remote units. AI guided." Zarnak's voice dropped to a whisper. "This much damage from machines." He walked toward the tactical screen. One blinking dot remained, moving slowly across the surface. It was the only human signal they had tracked since the beginning. "Zoom in," he said. The screen focused. The signal moved through canyons and ruins. No support, No reinforcements. One man, just one. Sarnak stared at it. His voice was low and cold. Is that all of them? Far below, inside the hidden bunker, Jax Voss leaned back in his chair. He looked tired, but focused. Status, he asked. The AI replied. Enemy squads scattered. Most are retreating or hiding. No organized resistance remains. Enemy command ship is watching but not engaging. Jax nodded. They're trying to figure it out. He opened a communication channel. A signal bounced off satellites, redirected through ghost nodes, and pointed directly at the Dravari flagship. He sent a short message, 3 words only. Keep guessing, strategist. Then he shut the signal down. On the Dravari bridge, the message appeared. Officers stared at it in silence. He's mocking us, one said. Sarnak's face remained calm, but his fists trembled. This is not a military base, he said. There is no army, no command structure, just one man, and a network of machines. One of his senior advisors stepped forward. Strategist, permission to withdraw. This may not be worth the cost. Sarnak didn't answer right away. His pride burned. How could one human cripple his forces? How could one scout turn an entire mission into a disaster? Then the truth struck him like a blade. This was not a base, he said, almost to himself. This was a forward unit. He looked around the room. We only fought a scout. Back on the ground, Jax activated one final drone, a large spherical machine. It hovered silently above the ruins and began broadcasting a fake military signal, loud, strong, and full of coded data. It mimicked the presence of a full human battalion. Jax watched as the signal lit up the sky. They'll think I've been leading an army, he said. They'll think Earth is ready. He turned to the AI. They won't come back soon. On the Dravari flagship, alarms began to ring. New signal detected, an officer shouted. Large human presence. Incoming military transmission. Thousands of units. Sarnak stared at the data. It's a lie, he whispered. It has to be. But he wasn't sure anymore. What if it wasn't? His fleet was damaged. His soldiers broken. Fear spread through the crew. He gave the only order he could. Retreat, now. In the silence below, Jax watched their ships turn away, shrinking into the dark sky. He sat back, closed his eyes, and let out a slow breath. It wasn't victory, but it was survival. The Dravari fleet moved fast, pulling away from Karel 9's orbit, but their retreat was not clean. Something was wrong. Inside the command ship, warning lights flashed across every screen. System error, said the technician. Navigation is lagging. Communication links are unstable. Power levels dropping. Supreme Strategist Sarnak turned sharply. What now? He growled. Before the technician could answer, the lights on the bridge flickered. The engines hummed loudly, then fell silent for 2 full seconds. That silence was enough to freeze every officer in place. Is it a malfunction? Someone whispered. No, Sarnak said. It's him. Deep beneath the planet's surface, Jax Voss stood in a narrow control room, his fingers moving across an old, dusty console. Final phase, he said calmly. Initiate orbital disruption. The AI's voice replied. Fleet systems are now infected. Ship AI functions degrading. They will lose full control in 3 minutes. Jax didn't smile. He didn't gloat. This was not revenge. This was strategy. You should have stayed curious, Sarnak, he said quietly. Now you'll see what one scout unit can really do. Above, inside the flagship, chaos spread. Thrusters offline. Artificial gravity is fluctuating. We're losing control of them. On the main screen, a human face appeared. Jax Voss, grainy, from an old camera, but clear enough. Supreme Strategist, he said, voice flat. We had no army, no command, just one scout and his machines. Sarnak stood still, fists clenched. You want Earth, Jax said. Come find it, but bring more than this. Behind him, the console glowed red. Because next time, we won't be scouting. The screen went black. Outside, one of the Dravari ships spun slowly, lights flickering. Drone mines hidden in orbit activated, not to destroy, but to jam, confuse, and blind. The Draveri fleet struggled to hold formation. Their own systems turned against them. Targeting became useless. Navigation drifted. The ships finally broke free from orbit, but only just. What was supposed to be a quick mission had turned into a slow, embarrassed escape, and they knew it. Inside the bunker, Jax watched the last ship vanish into the stars. He stood still for a moment, then powered down the console. "Signal mute active," said the AI. "No trace remains." Jax turned off his headset and looked up at the ceiling. Let the galaxy wonder. He walked slowly through the halls of the bunker. Machines powered down around him. The drones returned to their hidden nests. The silence of Karel 9 returned. In orbit, the Draveri fleet floated in formation, shaken and silent. Zarnak stared at the empty screen. "He fooled us from the start," he said quietly. His advisor said nothing. "He wasn't protecting a base," Zarnak continued. "He was laying a trap, and we walked right into it." On Karel 9, as the wind blew gently over the cracked ground, one simple message played on loop, broadcast in the open. "Scout Unit 17 reporting mission complete. Earth remains unbroken." The red storms faded as dawn crept over Karel 9. Pale light touched the dead ground. The air was quiet. Nothing moved. The battle was over. Commander Jax Voss stood outside the bunker entrance. He looked out over the wreckage. Burnt ships, shattered drones, scorched soil. The wind carried no sound now, only dust. He took a slow breath. "No enemy signals detected," the AI said softly in his earpiece. "The Draveri fleet is gone." Jax nodded. "They'll remember this place." He stepped forward and looked up at the empty sky. Stars blinked far above, but none came closer. Not yet. Inside the bunker, the lights dimmed. Systems shut down one by one. Drones returned to their storage base. Autoguns powered off. The base, once alive with hidden activity, went still. Jax walked back through the halls, passing old Earth flags and rusted signs. "Begin lockdown," he said. "Confirmed," the AI responded. "All signals silenced. No trace will remain." Jax stopped at the main control room. He placed his hand on the console one last time. "I wasn't meant to fight a war," he said. "I was meant to scout, to warn." "You did both," said the AI. He gave a small nod. He didn't smile. He didn't speak again. Instead, he turned and left. Far away across the galaxy, the Draveri fleet limped through space. Ships damaged, systems weak, morale broken. On the flagship, Supreme Strategist Zarnak sat in silence. He stared at a report. Mission summary. Inconclusive. Heavy losses. Single enemy unit confirmed. Threat level unknown. He read the final line twice. "We only fought a human scout unit." Zarnak leaned back in his chair. "What happens?" he whispered. "If they send more?" No one answered. Back on Karel 9, the dust blew again, covering the last footprints. The wind erased every sign of war. From orbit, the planet looked empty, silent. But buried deep beneath the ground, one message stayed locked in the system, protected and encrypted. "Earth still lives." In time, the galaxy would hear whispers of a dead world that fought back, of a lone human who stopped a fleet, of machines in silence and ghosts in the dust, and of a question the Draveri could never answer. If that was just a scout, what else is out there?